Tango 1 at the top, we are at Papa Cuckoo. 10-4, Tango 1, you have control. Tango 1 copy. Stand by. Stand by.
Integrity, passion, resilience. That's what this place was built on. That's what our community is founded on. Don't act like the example, just be the example. This is the home of the greatest fitness community in the world. We're trying to create strong, able bodies, resilient to injury with a gas tank to get shit done. If there's one thing from this podcast, it's about taking immediate action, find the problem, fix the problem. This is your opportunity. It's either a hell yes or a fuck no. It's that simple. You're ruining the Tango 1 podcast. Now is the time to take action. Now's the time to do more and be more.
All right. Welcome to the Tango 1 podcast. I'm your host, Tony Smith. We are back for another episode, and welcome back to my right-hand man, co-host Casey Wright. He's been out of the lines for a bit as he's been dealing with his recruitment and his training for fire. I'm proud to say the man passed with flying colors. Probably doesn't want me to tell you this, but rumor is maybe even top of his class. Great job, buddy. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Don't cut that right now.
Yeah. Never mention it again.
Never mention it again. No, I'm super proud of you, man. It shows that it shows you, just like me. I mean, I went to school and got great grades just because I was passionate about what it was. When I got terrible grades in school, I don't know how your grades were, but it's nice to see the kind of the same thing happen to you that happened to me. So welcome back, man.
Definitely. Thank you. I'm happy to be back.
Sweet. All right. Today's episode is going to be a little bit more charged, a little bit more, information driven and charged as far as emotion, because we want to talk about the 5K, the front lines, everything we do behind that, why we do it, who we do it for. And I want to share some stories. We have so many frontline friends, so many nurses, cops, firemen, paramedics, the list goes on and on, that train at the gym, that have just become in our network over the years, who have really shed some light on what they are dealing with. And, I want to share some of those stories. But before we get into some of those stories, I just want to make sure, because I know from my own experience, sometimes when I watch movies or TV, some of these things that we might talk about today could trigger some bad thoughts. So I want to encourage anybody at all, it doesn't have to be a frontliner, just anybody that's struggling, reach out to your friends, family, union, association, whatever it is. There's all kinds of government assistance. You can go to the CMHA website, and there's also a ton of online and free resources out there as well. And the intake crisis line, if you need to, give it a call, 519-973-4435. All right, let's roll.
All right. So today we're all talking about the 5K for the Frontlines. So this is an event that you kind of initiated last year, working with the CMHA, and it was actually quite a big success last year. But how did this all come to? How did this get started last year?
Yeah, so I was approached by the CMHA to join on for their ambassador group as to promote frontline. They were actually starting to promote frontline services before the pandemic hit, and they had reached out to me with my law enforcement background, and I've been open about my own struggles with mental health and some of the treatment I've sought, and they came to me. So I had promised them that we would do a charity, and then the pandemic hit, the first wave. And we locked down. So, you and I and the rest of the team, we put our heads together and came up with a different way to do it. And we reached out to the network of gyms that has been so supportive of us. And I will list them all as we go through this podcast, and they all just jumped in, and we were able to come together and do not a virtual run. Everybody ran, but we just didn't run together. We ran it virtually in separate places over the course of a whole day. And we were able to come together, 11 gyms, I think it was, and we raised $36,000 for that charity.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool event. Just the fact that with everything going on and everything being new with COVID and stuff going on, is everybody felt so secluded and kind of on their own. So it was something fun to do outside of our realm, and all the other gyms jumping into it really kind of banded everyone together and kind of brought forth that mindset of there is one mission at the end of the day, besides separate businesses, all this stuff there's more important things going on, and having everyone work together for this charity event. And it was just great to see. And we had to make you run a couple K.
Yeah, 5K. I mean, you can, the same this year, you can run it, you can walk it, you can bike it, skateboard it, rollerblade. We don't really care. The idea is this is not a competitive race. You can make it competitive. Some of the gyms may make it competitive within their own little groups, but the idea is just get this thing done. You know, donate your money, of course, so we can raise those funds, but get it done and show your support of the frontline workers. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today and where all those funds go locally. And I truly believe in like all the gyms, we all support each other in such a way that at the end of the day, like you need to take care of your house first. And that's what I mean is we want to take care of the people in Windsor, Essex County, and then work out. I think there's so much energy being wasted right now thinking about everybody and everything when, you know, first thing you want to do is make sure your family, your kids have their headspace right. Make sure your, you know, teammates, your friends, your employees, your whatever, your boss has their heads right. And then keep working out from there instead of, you know, trying to work from the outside in. You just don't solve problems like that.
Yeah, definitely. Hit home first and then you can start to work your way out.
Yeah, so for this year, like it was planned for June, and then we got the, you know, the news that we're getting locked down again, right? Just a couple weeks ago, towards the start of April, mid-April, whatever that was. And I know for me, this one hit me the hardest. I don't know why. It was, you know, as far as business-wise, I guess we were most prepared for it, you know, our third time around. But I was super negative. We had been planning this 5K. We'd already started the works with it. Nikki, who is my right-hand lady, at the garage gym, she has a huge part in this thing, and we were planning it for June. We were about to launch it and, you know, give it to the gyms, and we'd already had our meetings about it with the CMHA. And then we heard this lockdown, and you know, after I got over my being pissed off and my bitching and moaning and trying to like change the world and take a stance on the government, you know, I just realized that, you know, I don't think enforcement, and I don't necessarily agree with everything that's happening out there with the government. Very much don't agree actually, but the one thing that I know doesn't work is chaos and anarchy. That doesn't work.
Right.
So the first thing we wanted to do, and I know it's a great way to deal with problems, is flip the script. So the best way to do that is to think about people who might be in a worse situation than you and try to help them. And you know, our businesses, these gyms, you know, the restaurants, the salons, we've all been shut down for, you know, 10 months really. But I would not, I'm a 20-year police officer before I started this gym, and I would not want to be on the front lines dealing with what they're dealing with right now.
Yeah. And it's a good thing to, like you said, is take that step back a little bit and change the perspective, because it has been obviously a frustrating time, especially for a lot of gyms and other small businesses. Is, you know, you wonder when enough's enough and when things are going to reopen and when you're going to be able to get back on your feet. And it's tough to deal with, I'm sure, especially as an owner and having that on your shoulders, but being able to decompress that, step back, and now, you know what, like you said, let's flip the script. Let's do some good in it. Let's try to push forward with all these other things. Now move that timeline up a little bit and let's make good things happen. And then, you know, a month from now, hopefully things are changing and you can reassess the next part.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed in myself, really. I mean, I pride myself in putting out positive impact, being a positive impact on the community at all times, as many people as I can every single day. It's on my wall right in front of me as I read this to you. And I put out a real negative message, and, you know, not negative, but frustrated, some negativity, some positivity in there. But also, you know what? It's crazy, man. That thing got more views and more comments than any positive post I've ever put out. And that's what I don't like about this whole situation. We're all fueling so much anger, and you just look at the social media, it's just story after story about the negative. So much focus on the problem, not about the solution.
Well, isn't that the easier thing to do?
It is the easiest thing to do. You're right.
Isn't that the easier thing? It's easier to jump on that pissed off, upset bandwagon because that's all you're exposed to. It's very simple to just jump on that train and continue on with, you know, woe is me and all these issues, because that's what the majority's at. Right. So exactly. It is good to the fact that you're able to recognize that, however, and then, you know, say I was in that bad place. I was angry for a bit, which again, it's okay to be angry for that little time, but now change the script, change your perspective, and then come back at it with another angle. Like I'm sure you've done with all of your training and all your things, is if you keep looking down that same path, sometimes you got to walk to the other side and get new eyes on it.
Yeah, we met with the other gyms too, and we were, it was about what are we going to do? How are we going to handle these closures? Left there, feeling pretty broken down, pretty beat. I know everybody else did. So I made a call to Nikki actually on my way home from the meeting with the other gyms. And I said, hey, let's just move this 5K for the front lines forward. Let's give us something positive to work on. Hopefully the other gyms can do the same thing. It's another way. We moved it up to May 1st. I called an emergency meeting with the CMHA. They were all over it. And I said, hey, let's do this right now. We really believe that we are essential. We've been basically handcuffed to what we can do. So let's do something that we can. We can get people outside, we can get them running, and we can raise some money for a good cause. And we can also get the mindsets of all these gym owners, all these, these people who are being locked down, the people that are like losing money, losing business, and just have them geared towards something else. And it's always good to just work. Serving others always comes back to you in the end in a karma kind of way. And I hope that's what happens here.
Definitely changes the mindset. And yeah, like you said, providing these other gyms as well with something, some happy thoughts and happy things to focus on, even just planning it for the next few weeks.
Yeah, so it is going to be May 1st, at 2020, which is just in 2 weeks. It's just a $20 donation. Like I said, you don't have to run. You can walk. You can do anything you want. You can run 10K, 15K, I could care less. Just run, support this cause. Go to thegaragegym.net to donate, or go to thegaragegym.net, click the site for the 5K. That'll take you there. Find your gym. All the gyms that are on board, and we'll list them in a little bit, are all listed there. Register, donate your $20, or you can go and donate to any of the people that are running that have already registered. Just go in there again and say who you're donating to. If you don't have a gym, if you're not a gym, in any gym, you're just a runner or just somebody who wants to support and run, join any of the gyms. Join the gym in your neighborhood. You don't have to actually join. Just go on the site and register for that race that day. And you are an honorary member for that day. So I wanted to share with you, Casey, and everybody else, the story that kind of inspired this 5K last year. So just much like last year, you were there with me, and we were just, last year was we'd have no idea what was happening when we got locked down, and we thought it was going to be 2 weeks. Next thing you know, it was whatever that was. 6 months? I don't know what the hell it was.
We were camping out for a few months at the gym.
Feeling sorry for myself. And then we had some nurses. We have so many nurses and paramedics and stuff. And one of them, we reached out to check on one, and this one kind of got me. I'm not going to use any names, but hopefully my story here doesn't give it away. I'll never forget my first COVID patient. He and his family moved to Canada for new life, freedom, and choices. His wife didn't speak any English, and I had to use a telephone translator to help us communicate. Our team and I struggled through our shifts, caring for him and trying to save him, but it came to that point that we had exhausted everything we could for him. I called the wife to update her on his condition, and her screams and pleads still echo in my memory. She was sobbing and begging me to save her husband and the father of her young children. I couldn't even speak. I was frozen as I sobbed on the other end of the phone because I felt helpless, defeated, and emotionally and physically exhausted. I promised the lady, whom I'd never met, that I would continue to do everything I can for her and her children. I went home that night, and I pulled into our driveway. I sat in my car paralyzed. I didn't know what to do. I sanitized my hands, and I wiped the inside of our vehicle with disinfectant wipes while I bawled. I knew this man was going to die. I knew his wife was going to be a widow, and I knew those children would forever be without their father. I also sat there knowing I had my husband and my children anxiously awaiting for me to walk in the door, and I couldn't. I was petrified that I accidentally contaminated myself at some point and may have gotten them sick. We didn't have the option of living in an RV or hotel rooms as some of my friends did, because we were both directly subjected to potential COVID patients. He's also a first responder. My family came outside after about half an hour of me sitting there and found me in distraught, inconsolable state. We stood in our garage, and he just listened to me as I stood there admitting how absolutely heartbroken I was for this man, his young family, and how guilty I felt for being able to come home to my family that he wasn't. Our kids kept popping their heads in and out of the garage, confused and concerned why mommy was so upset. I was trying to be strong for them, to hold the tears back, and trying to preserve their innocence by concealing the true raw emotions my heart was feeling. The man passed away about a week later. So that's just one of, I have literally, my inbox is full right now since we started running this, of stories like this. And I think what people don't realize is this same woman or man or anybody who is dealing with this on the front lines, they do that. They deal with that. Then they get up from their 12-hour midnight shift or 12-hour day shift and deal with the same things that me and you and Danny and every other member of our gym are dealing with, which is, the isolation, the homeschooling. Like, there's another one on here, a good friend of mine who, she works straight midnights for 12 hours. She's on midnights. She comes home at 7 a.m. Her husband leaves for work at 7:30, and she has 3 kids my kid's age, that she now has to sit there as they're on online schooling, because there's no way a kid that age is going to be at school. So these frontliners are dealing with extra, man. They're dealing with so much, and we want to do everything in our power to help them.
Yeah, crazy stories. And it's like,
take a minute, let that sink in.
The amount of numbers and stories that come out like that, and it's not like it's a unique thing, unfortunately. There's so many,
I'm telling you, I'm picking, there's 15, 20 stories in my inbox right now as I reached out to just a handful of nurses and paramedics. And I'm not even talking about the cops and the firemen who are dealing with this, the aftermath, the collateral damage that we all keep talking about, right? The isolation, which is, leading to suicides and overdoses and addictions, domestics. We're not seeing just those things, right? That's just the,
there's so much attached to the outside of it, right? Is the virus is its own problem, obviously, but yeah, having people who are social beings being locked home all the time and dealing with these things on the side, and it, unfortunately, unhealthy habits seem to be the easy option for times like this, and people just continue to go down those rabbit holes, and it's what collectively all these things come together with. And yeah, it's a tough time to be going through all this stuff, and that's why things like this are so important. Find a way within your community, even though it's not directly hand in hand, it's being virtual, or however we can have that sense of community again, and that relationship. It's huge, and it's making a huge impact. Just the benefit to all this stuff.
Right. So let's talk about where some of this from the CMHA side of things. So, these funds, they all stay. We're very proud of this. Every single charity in the garage gym now, and the garage gym on our own, we ran a bunch of charity work, and then realized that, man, if we can join forces with all these other gyms, we're just so much stronger. And since joining on with them, I think we're up at around $700,000 we've been able to raise for charity that stays 100% local. 100%. We are so proud of that number, that 100% local number, because this money's going to stay here. And I want to make people understand that, like, yes, this is for the frontliners, but it has a ripple effect down to every single person. So myself, when I was a police officer, there's courses called, the mental readiness course, which just makes sure that, one, I'm fit for duty, right? I mean, fit for duty. How does that affect the public? Make sure, one, I can get in there and save you. You're a fireman, you understand that. But also make sure that I'm not going to make terrible decisions based on anger. Yeah. Right? When you are frustrated, when you are balled up, you guys have all done it. Everybody snapped at their spouse or their girlfriend or their husband or their children because you're frustrated. It has nothing to do with them. Now imagine you take that and you go into somebody's house who hates you, who's a criminal, who's just done something terrible, and now you've got to try to, like, be professional. Like, that's where that effect comes in. And also, like, the CMHA contributes to, like, suicide intervention tactics. So training, police officers, dispatchers, paramedics, firemen to deal with people in crisis, so that we can prevent suicides from our young people, from people struggling with these different, all the collateral damage that comes with it. and just life in general.
Yeah. So going through some of the stats just right now, these are from Canadian statistics, but going through some of the mental health declining stats is so Ontarians' perceptions of their mental health have worsened dramatically since the previous polls. 36% of Ontarians say they experience high or very high stress, which is up from 30% from the summer. 35% are feeling high or very high anxiety, up from 30% in the summer once again. 17% say they're always or often feeling depressed, which is up from 13% in May. More than one quarter of Ontarians, 27%, are using more substances to cope, up from 21% in the summer. Nearly 4 out of 5 Ontarians can see how COVID-19 is negatively impacting the mental health of others. And in spite of the negative statistics, more than 3/4 of Ontarians feel they're handling public health restrictions well.
Right, and that's crazy because those stats, like we're talking, you heard Casey say like last summer. So we're talking from like basically shutdown 1 to here shutdown 3 or lockdown, whatever you want to call it. Those stats are pretty intense. Like anxiety and the part that that they're using substances to cope. That's the part that hits home as I sit here with my "We Are Essential" shirt. If anything, man, if there's one thing I want to come out of this is like this, what we do, what I do at the garage, and what our team does, and what Workhorse and Shred Shop and True and the list of gyms that I'm going to get to that are supporting this event. What we do is we provide a substance-free coping mechanism, and the one thing that's been happening over the last little bit is exercise is actually starting to get its its fair shake as terms of the healthcare system. Is we want to be recognized as people who are part of the solution. And that's not why we're doing this, but if that message gets out there and the more people that do this run that tag us and say that you believe that fitness will keep you healthy mentally and physically, the better that is going to be for all of us. And I don't think, like, from a very personal standpoint, but also from a very unselfish standpoint, that's why these gyms are considering breaking the rules and opening out of lockdown, like, because we firmly believe that we are helping people to deal with these problems and to stay away from the substances, like the chemicals, the drugs that are being prescribed. Whereas sunlight and fitness and exercise and being around other people that are positive will do for you. So
it is such an essential trade, and that's the thing is, and one thing, like, you'd be happy to know, like, I took the mental readiness course, a few weeks back now, and it is a lot more on the forefront is fitness with it, right? So many people now are being directed towards talking to counseling even before things start to get, bad. But also the effort on fitness is huge because it is an outlet, right? And like we talked about with people coming off those shifts and, being able to go to the gym and use that hour to decompress and be surrounded by people, who you might have just had that terrible call. And instead of going home and carrying that with you, you go to the gym for that hour, you get to work physically out, you get your head cleared out by whatever it is. You can concentrate all that focus somewhere productive. Now your day's maybe a little bit brighter, a little bit better. And now when you go home, your home life's better, and all these things are attached to it. And those are things that get missed sometimes when you naively look at what a gym is and what these businesses are doing, because there is so much more to it than somebody working out. There's so much of the social side of things and the mental clarity side of things. And it is essential. 100%. Yeah. It is an essential.
I mean, anybody who's ever worked a shift understands how that messes with your emotions, right? It just heightens everything. It heightens everything. Now you're waking up from a few hours of, distracted, terrible sleep to the stress of homeschooling, or to the stress of just stress in general that's being, like opening your phone and just seeing negative post after negative post and Ford Nation this and Ford Nation. Man, everybody's just so stuck on this and not stuck on the solutions. We want to get there. And that's really what we want to drive home. The yoga studios, everybody. We want anybody. You don't have to be a gym, just like a wellness center. That's all we're asking. come out and get involved, and we will make you a link and get you and your, you know, and connecting back to your community. That's another big thing with this. And, you know, from a business standpoint, I'm sure anybody who's listening who understands business, you know, staying connected to your community is so important for your business to grow and to stay strong. We are so thankful for the Garage Gym Army. And I know with meeting with all the other gyms a few weeks back, they all said the same thing about their respective armies and their respective memberships. So we talk about relationships with the CMHA, gave us some stats too. The pandemic has both positively and negatively impacted relationships. 25%, this is a great one, say that the relationship with their partner is better now than before the pandemic. Well, 29% say their relationship with their children is better. So that's a super positive. This isn't all about the negatives.
Yeah.
That is a positive. And
No,
we want you to get out there, run with your spouse, run with your kids. And I know Danny and I were in a real special spot because of our jobs. And I mean, lockdown, both of us can't go to work. And we had our kids home. We kept them home this year. We didn't put them on the online schooling. We chose to homeschool them, and that has been the best decision we made. And I can tell you, it's been our best time with our children. Frustrating from the business standpoint, but very best time for sure for our kids. They also say that 36% say friendships are worse, and 27% say relationships with their parents are worse. Among the most difficult aspects of the pandemic has been not seeing extended family. 74% said that, and 78% said extended family and friends. And I know for me, that's been a big one. Missing Super Bowl with my buddies, not being able to see my parents, my cousins, my nephews as much as I'd like to has been that one's been hard on me. How about you?
Yeah, it's been awful not being able to see friends and family. Even with things like for us, like when I was in Windsor, having the borders open where we can drive 5 hours to the Sioux as opposed to 12 hours to the Sioux, like things like that, selfishly wise, make a huge impact. And luckily we've got a good network of people, but even that, having you and I sitting on a phone call as opposed to hanging out in the same room, it changes things, but it's different, right? It's not the same. It's not the same feeling all the time. And that's even if you are making the phone calls. So I think that's where things really start to get on people. They stop making the calls, or they stop reaching out to people.
Yes, absolutely. And that's one thing. If I was going to give, like, we don't want this to all be negative. Here's, some coping strategies, things that I've learned through this, things that I learned with my other struggles that I had with dealing with, that's one thing. Man, I can't even imagine that dealing with some of the things that I went through before, of having to deal with all of this on top of that. And that one really, really hits home with me. And so for people, get outside, exercise, eat healthy. Those are the obvious ones that you're going to hear me and every other fitness, call them guru or experts or leaders, whatever you want to call them. And, that will say, but the other things are send a text to somebody, actually get on a phone call with somebody, call them up, hear some voices, make somebody's day. When you make somebody's day, your day then gets made, right? That's just one thing that it goes. Journaling, all those great things are also great, but I think that making that phone call is huge.
Yeah, and it's a benefit to it, right? Like things are online now. Things are so available. It is something that you can look at as, I can't see my friends, we can't be in the same room together. But at the same time, like now you can call your friend who's anywhere in the world at any time, right? Like Brooke talks to her sister who's in Germany, every day, which is something that might not have happened before if you could go out and just to your neighbor's house and hang out with them. But it expands your reach with, technology now and all these new videos and phone call availabilities. So there are benefits to what's coming out from this. And it's just taking that step as opposed to always looking at it as I can't go see friends because I can't meet up with them, to I can actually call and talk to more friends now and reach out to more people and catch up with people because they're not as busy right now. They are available to me just by making a call. And a lot of people do appreciate that phone call.
Yeah. And one thing that I do is when I'm going through my Instagram or my Facebook or whatever, you see like repetitive negative posts from people, I then reach out. If Casey, if you put out a bunch of just like super negative stuff, it's not like you. And I'm going to, hey man, you want to get on call? What are you doing? I haven't
Yeah.
seen you in a while. Let's get on call. That's the kind of reach outs that we're talking about. Don't just make it the obvious ones. Sometimes it's just that, and they're like, oh yeah, why? What's up? Oh man, just noticing you've been putting out some real negative shit lately. Maybe you just need to, talk it out or deal with it or hear a different perspective or focus on, the good things. And that's what we want from this here is, every year when we do the John Atkinson workout. John Atkinson was the police officer that was murdered years and years ago now. And, and I do the talk there. I say that I don't bring up this story of my involvement there to raise pity for me. And the frontliners, the people whose stories I've shared, some of these things, they don't want your pity. What they want is for you, they want for their sacrifice to make this world a better place. And so if that can shed some perspective on your problems, because it did for me, it made my problems, seem pale in comparison. And that's one good thing that can happen out of that sacrifice. The other thing that we want is for there to be more services available and people that are taken care of. And one of the things that they've said from the CMHA is that more Ontarians are confident in their ability to find mental health and addiction support now, which is a great thing that's come out of this. But more people are trying to access supports are finding it difficult to get to. So that's what we want to take that down. And I know for a fact, I guess I don't know for a fact in stats, but just from my conversations, all my connections, and my good long-time, lifelong friends that I've made out of the emergency services, that more frontliners are getting help than they ever have. And that is a win that comes from this pandemic. And their need for it is going to grow. And I want to make sure it's there so that ripple effect comes all the way down. They are able to talk somebody off a ledge. They are able to not be on the ledge themselves. And like you from the frontline training that you just took as a firefighter, I guarantee, like you took the mental readiness course, you weren't even on the department like officially yet. You just got hired.
It is a great
that's mind blowing to me. That was a course that only happened like once we were there. I was there 15, 16 years. So that's a huge step in the right direction. We want to keep things going that way. So please help us.
And that's a big thing. And that's something they talk about. And I think it is a big prideful thing for, I'm sure, police departments, fire departments, everything is getting ahead of these trends, right? And not changing the stigma as to making it okay to express your opinion and be kind of okay with talking about things. I think more than ever, it's very, at least in my mind, it's easy to reach out to people. It's easy to talk to a friend and say things aren't great right now. It's not something that I feel ashamed to talk about or anything like that. And I think a lot of people around me are the same way, right? It's a lot easier for you to just tell somebody something's bugging you and can hopefully resolve that as quick as you can, as opposed to letting that build up. So with things like this, right, it's all about taking immediate action. What are things right now? 5K Frontlines coming up in a few weeks from now, by the time this airs. So what are some immediate things people can to get involved and get started?
There. You're cutting out a touch, but what you're asking is what can the people do to help? But I want to start with I'll start actually the opposite way to describe helping. Let's start with the outliers. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to run, you just want to get involved, you can just reach out to anybody that you know is running. But we also need some prizes. Every gym is running their own little prize pool. We're trying to make that also supporting local. I would love, like what we're doing at the garage gym is we're actually going and buying gift certificates from the salons, the bars, the restaurants, the tattoo artists that flash my tats, right? We're going to get gift certificates. We're actually going to buy them so we can raffle them off to our donors. So if you're in a business that wants to get involved, you want to donate a prize, or if you want to go to one of these small businesses and buy $100 gift certificate to a hair salon and donate it to the prize pool, that would be a huge help. I'm going to read in the gyms in just a minute so that you can reach out to your gym and see how you can help, or your neighborhood gym. You don't have to be a member. You might just drive by every day and see the place. Support them. They could use it. So this event, also, if you're a gym or a salon or a yoga studio, anybody that you want to get involved, reach out to me directly. Tango One Tony, you guys, if you're watching this podcast, you've got my Instagram, Tony@thegaragegym.net. I'll also get you there. The information, okay, it's May 1st. It's virtual, so we're telling people not to run together. I do not want to condone you breaking the law. Get out there and run on your own at any point on May 1st that is convenient from you, from morning till night. Then tag us, tag the CMHA. You'll see those Instagrams, and then tag the gym that you are running for. And that will get you entered into the bigger prize pool. We're still working on the prizes. It's only $20 to enter. However, of course, we want you to, do the whole readathon thing like when you were kids. Go to your parents, go to your family, see if you can raise some more money, have them support you. The more money they raise, the better this will be. Last year, 36K with 11 gyms. As of today, we have 14 gyms on board. So I'd like to make that even more. So I think that pretty much covers it all. If you want to sign up, you go to thegaragegym.net. That's thegaragegym.net. And click the little icon, Garage Gym 5K for the Frontlines. From there, you can pick any gym that you want to register under. Like I said, you do not have to be a member of any of these gyms. You will not be. This is a no pitch event. We are not trying to sell you anything. None of these gyms, we're all in here together. We are not trying to steal customers. We're not trying to gain customers. All we want to do is do something that makes us feel good, because there's been a lot of shitty times for us, and we want to make this a good one. So the gyms that are involved are, of course, us, the Garage Gym. We got F45 LaSalle, the Shred Shop, Push Life Fitness, True Fitness, F45 Tecumseh, AOG, Attitude of Gratitude, F45 Training in Kingsville. We got Black Stripe, Kasaya's Dance Company, which is one of the new ones to join us. So if you're a dance company or a studio like that, jump in, man. You guys have been shut down. You guys could use some positive emotion too. We got Rec Health and Fitness, of course, Workhorse Fitness Company, Kyle with Healthy Solutions, and Fit Nutrition Canada. So that is just the start. I'm sure we'll have some more jump on in the next few days. Please reach out to any of those people. And that is it for this promo. I hope we've made you super aware of everything that's going on, and that you understand the need and you support our cause.
That was great.
Thanks, man.
That's a wrap.
Thank you for every nurse and paramedic that shared your stories. We're going to use some of those stories going further. Please don't be offended. We didn't choose yours. We just didn't want to make this a total doom and gloom. I know those of you that have worked in emergency services and on the front lines, you guys are used to that, but the general public is not. So let's break them in easy, and keep staying strong, keep staying safe, and keep sticking together for all my friends and family that are still towing that line and holding that line for us. Over and out.
Now is the time to take action. Now's the time to do more and be more.